Thank you so much for being here. My name is Suzanne Sparge. I'm the Executive Director of 516 Arts. We've actually been here for 17 years. And I'm so excited to team up with Afromundo Festival. I'd just make a few short comments. I'd first just like to acknowledge that we're here on the lands of the Tewa people and the 19 pueblos of New Mexico. And the exhibition that you see around you, it's on both floors. You can check out upstairs after if you will. It's called Artists as Knowledge Carriers, and it's the work of professors of art in higher education around New Mexico at a number of different colleges and universities. And it honors the mentors, and it also gives us a sort of platform for looking at intergenerational learning. And so the Afromundo event today is a wonderful fit, and I'm so glad Maritza came to us with the idea of presenting it here. Without further ado, I will quickly thank our funders. Without them, we wouldn't have this beautiful space. The McCune Foundation, which donated the building to 516 Arts, and the City of Albuquerque, the Henry Luce Foundation, the fund at the Albuquerque Community Foundation, and New Mexico Arts are all supporting today's event in the space that we're in. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Maritza Perez, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Suzanne. Do I need to? Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Suzanne. I've always loved 516 Arts, and when we decided that we were going to do a poetry reading, we wanted an intimate space like this. And I called her, and she was immediately, yes, yes, yes. So my gratitude to Suzanne. And just a little about Afromundo. There are cards on all the chairs that list all the programs of this week. And I will say that every event, and I'm sorry if you get tired of hearing it, but I will repeat it, this is a community idea last year, understood what we were trying to do, and were on board immediately. So thank you to New Mexico Humanities Council, National Endowment for the Humanities, Bernalillo County, McCune Charitable Foundation, Kellogg Foundation, Albuquerque City Council, Albuquerque Arts and Culture. And the reason I'm taking a moment to acknowledge every single one of them is because to put together a festival, a week-long festival, actually it's longer than a week because it's like 8 days or 9 days, takes a lot of funds, especially because it is our mission to provide all of our programs free to the community, because Afromundo and our programs are about building community, having a multicultural dialogue, exploring the complexities of Latinidad so that people know that Latinos do not look a certain way, that there's a strong Afro tradition, and that we have been in the Americas since before any country in the Americas was even a nation. And so in order to participate in the conversation that our programs elicit, there shouldn't be a price tag, meaning the community should be able to attend our programs, and these conversations should not have a price tag. And so I take the time to list all our funders, because if not for them, this entire festival would not be possible. So just thank you to our sponsors, to our community members, to everybody. And I'm going to give a moment for more people to come in. I think there are some chairs spread out. Anybody who has a free chair next to them, raise your hand so that people can know that they can sit down. It's going to start with a short video, and after the video, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. Okay? Thanks. Thank you.
De pronto unas voces en la calle me gritaron, ¡negra! 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 ¿Soy acaso negra? Me dije. ¡Sí, me considero negra! ¡Negra! Yo no sabía la triste verdad que yo escondía. ¡Negra! Y me sentí negra. ¡Negra! Como ellos decían. ¡Negra! Y retrocedí. ¡Negra! Como ellos querían. ¡Negra! Yo di mis cabellos y mis labios gruesos y miré apenada mi carne tostada y retrocedí. ¡Negra! Y retrocedí. ¡Negra! 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 Pasaba el tiempo, siempre amargada. Seguía llevando a mi espalda mi pesada carga. ¡Y cómo pesaba! Me alacé el cabello, me volvé la cara, y entre mis entrañas siempre resonaba la misma palabra. ¡Negra! 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 Hasta que un día que retrocedía y que iba a caer. ¡Negra! 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 ¿Y qué? ¡Negra sí! ¡Negra soy! ¡Negra! ¡Negra soy! ¡Negra sí! ¡Negra soy! ¡Negra soy! Yo llegué adelante, no quiero laciar mi cabello, no quiero. Y voy a reírme de aquellos que por evitar, según ellos, que por evitarnos al sin sabor, llaman a los negros gente de color. ¿Y de qué color? ¡Negro! ¿Y qué lindo suena? ¡Negro! ¿Qué ritmo tiene? ¡Negro, negro, 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 negro! ¡Al fin! ¡Así comprendí! ¡Al fin! ¡Ya no retrocedo! ¡Al fin! ¡Y avanzo segura! ¡Al fin! ¡Avanzo y espero! ¡Al fin! ¡Y bendigo al cielo porque quito Dios que me hizo hasta más después de mi color y ya comprendí! ¡Al fin!
That was Victoria Santa Cruz from Peru. The Santa Cruz family in Peru brought attention to the plight of Afro Peruvians in Peru. And so I wanted to give you a taste of their poetry, que es una décima, and Dr. Eleuterio Santiago Díaz will be speaking a little more of the tradition. And I'll read Eleuterio Santiago Díaz's impressive information as is, so that to give him credit, but I have to preface it by saying he's my brother. My brother of heart. He's just an amazing human being and friend and poet and academician, and I use his class to experiment. Whenever I do new writing, I ask, Eleuterio, can I go to your class and present? And that way test out my work, so I'm really grateful to him. And he recently shared, this was a couple of weeks ago, sorry, he recently shared some of his new poems from an upcoming book. And I called him babbling like I was weeping. And I might again, because the poems were magnificent and dealing with similar themes, and they were just so profoundly beautiful, and I felt so honored that he would take the time to share it with me. So that's my personal introduction, but so that you will, and I always embarrass him by saying these things, but now I will read his actual bio. So, Eleuterio Santiago Díaz is a poet, professor, and literary critic. Upon graduation from the University of Puerto Rico, Santiago Díaz worked as a teacher of Spanish, physical education, and industrial arts, and as a librarian in Puerto Rican elementary schools. He earned a master's degree in Spanish from the University of California at Santa Barbara and a PhD in Hispanic Studies from Brown University. and is currently an associate professor in the Department of Spanish and Portuguese at the University of New Mexico. His teaching and research center on Afro Peruvian and Caribbean literature examined in light of theories of race, writing, and modernity, Latino Caribbean literature in the United States, and modern Latin American poetry. Before joining UNM, he taught language and literature in the departments of Spanish and Portuguese and African and Diasporic Studies at Tulane University, Cambridge Community College, and St. Cloud State University. Santiago Díaz is the author of the poetry books Árbol de Plaza Talado and su novena Edad, which is breathtakingly beautiful because it has all these art insertions by, ¿cómo se llama? Antonio Martorelli, wood carvings that are just magnificent. He's also the author of the scholarly book, Escritora Afro-Puertorriqueña y Modernidad, and articles published in academic journals and anthologies such as Revista Iberoamericana, Confluencia, Bilingual Review, Revista de Literatura, Historia y Memoria, and Marvels of the African World, Cultural Patrimony, New World Connections and Identities. Pending publication, he has several creative projects, the poetry books Kernel and the Mollusk and the Thumb, and a collection of short stories titled El Circo. It is my great joy to present Eleuterio Santiago Díaz, Doctor.
It is always embarrassing to be introduced by Maritza. As my mother used to say, me mira con los ojos del alma. She asked me to talk about la décima. And as a scholar, I don't deal with la décima in Puerto Rico, in Latin America. But as a kid, as an adolescent, I grew up with La Decima. La Decima was everywhere. It was in the radio program, especially the social intervention of the Decima. In the Decimas in Latin America and in Puerto Rico, the Decima can deal with any subject, food, religious subject, especially Christmas, nativity. But almost anything. So what I decided to do was to pick up a couple of three tunes produced by Afro-descendants singer from Puerto Rico to share them with you. And in those three little samples, we are going to see the different social contents on those decimas. I'm going to start with Davilita. What is the name of Davilita? I have the name somewhere. Pedro Ortiz Davila. Pedro Ortiz Davila was very popular singer, Afro-Puerto Rican singer from the 1940s and 50s. He was even more popular because he was singing with Felipe Rodriguez and others, doing duos with Felipe Rodriguez, but he was everywhere. And he was an advocate of the independence movement in Puerto Rico, the independency of Puerto Rico. And this song in particular to me is interesting because he produced it in New York. And what he is defending in this, in the 1940s and 1950s, and I can see that every time I teach my course in U.S. Latino Caribbean literature, we can see how much prejudice there was in New York and in the East Coast against the Puerto Ricans. The stereotype in the media, in movies, everywhere there was certain stereotypes that were reproduced in the public sphere, in the media of the Puerto Rican. One of them is that Puerto Rican were sick people, that we were gente enferma, that we used to come and work in the restaurant, and in the restaurant we were transmitting diseases. Another stereotype was that Puerto Rican women were prostitutes. You know, that was another common stereotype. The third one was that we were boliteros, especially black Puerto Rican. We were boliteros, and we were contaminating with the boliteros is ¿cómo se dice juego de azar? Boliteros son yeah, illegal. It was la bolita was an illegal lottery, and that we were contaminating with that the African Americans. And the other common stereotype is that we were in New York to get the home relief. The home relief. That's appear one and again and again. We are going to see that in the Decima. The habilita is, and what I find, what it really get my attention when the first time I listened to this tune is el coro. Because the coro, the backup singing in this song is reminiscence of the spirituals of the South of the United States. It sounds more to me like a black coro than a Puerto Rican coro. So let's listen to it. And I have the lyrics so we can see it at the same time. For those who can read in Spanish.
Debemos de darnos cuenta que nadie nos quiere por aquí, volvamos a morir en bella mar. Volvamos a morir en bella, volvamos a morir en bella, que nadie nos quiere por aquí, volvamos a nuestra tierra. Volvamos a morir en bella, volvamos a morir en bella, que nadie nos quiere por aquí, volvamos a nuestra tierra. El sábado yo me fui a bailar a un baile de borinqueños, una danza fueron a tocar y toditos se opusieron, bendito vergüenza de velar que esto en Nueva York suceda. No sé a dónde vamos a parar, ni sentimiento nos queda. Unámonos todos de verdad y volvamos a morir en bella mar. Volvamos a morir en bella, volvamos a morir en bella, que nadie nos quiere por aquí. Volvamos a nuestra tierra, volvamos a nuestra tierra, volvamos a nuestra tierra, volvamos a nuestra tierra.
So, I'm not going to discuss it, but you have a taste of what were the struggles that when we read the book of Fernando Vega or the memoirs of Fernando Vega, or we read the book of Piri Thomas, Down These Mean Streets, you immediately saw those things, no? The fight with the different ethnic groups, the poorest other ethnic groups coming from the Italians, and also at the same time the struggle to create bonds with them. Vito Marco Antonio was a huge politician in New York that from the Italian community that also helped the Puerto Rican community, the champions of the Puerto Rican, Bernardo Vega called him. So, but those are the typical struggles of the 1940s, 1950s that appear in the literature written by the Puerto Ricans in the late 60s and during the 1970s. Let's listen now to another singer that you might know because he's younger, Andrés Jiménez. Andrés Jiménez is an Afro-Puerto Rican singer, although he defined himself and he is portrayed in the public sphere as El Jíbaro, Andrés Jiménez El Jíbaro. In order to talk about what El Jíbaro is, I will need another forum. But El Jibarismo was a way of whitening the Puerto Rican society, and to some degree also the Jíbaro music too. But here Andrés Jiménez is singing in the late 60s, early 70s. He became the most important voice of protest, a social song in Puerto Rico, in the Nueva Canción. And Andrés Jiménez, in this song, he is talking about the environment in reality, about an environmental situation. This is the moment when la Marina de Guerra, the Marina de Guerra norteamericana is occupying Vieques and Culebra and causing a lot of contamination, death or cancer. So when you listen to this song, this is the concept, and this is also the moment when la lucha ambientalista in Puerto Rico is taking also strength. So let's listen to this song titled Canción del Pescador. I'm not going to play the whole thing because I don't want to take more time than was programmed. But let's listen to another song by Andrés Jiménez. And this one is interesting because it's inscribed in a CD about Los Rosarios Cantados. Rosarios Cantados. This is religious music. Los Rosarios Cantados are rosary that are sung to the, in this case, to the Virgin.
Eu sou Tomé de Souza. Sou muito tom para os íntimos. Eu sou tuga dos sismos e ritmos, definhador da alma, memória, entronador da escória difamatória nesta terra de Veracruz, a luz.
What is interesting here is how he take a religious chant and he politicizes. He politicizes. It's a song dedicated to the Virgin, but in reality, what he is asking the Virgin is to give the people the strength to correct the politician when they don't do what they are supposed to do. That's the main message in this canto. Gozo a la Virgen. It's written, I transcribe it in regular speech, in regular Spanish, but Jose Ramon Echemelende, who is the poet, he has his own alphabet. So the way he wrote Virgin is the way I wrote it in the title. Muchas gracias. In this case, this is a very interesting song because Decima in Puerto Rico and in many places in Latin America is fundamentally religious, but here is merging with the political message. You know, the politicians have to do the rising, otherwise, he's asking the Virgin to give us the strength to reprehend them, to correct them. Which is what happened in Puerto Rico with Ricky Rosselló a few years ago when he disrespect the people of Puerto Rico. He was removed from power by the people. So I think that this is my intervention for today. I don't want to take more time. and to allow the other performers, I'm not performing, the performers to do their part. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Eleuterio. I want to welcome next Jay Gourdin. It's wonderful because in this presentation we wanted to include multi-generations, because one day we hope that younger people will take on the mission of Afromundo and take it forward. So I'm glad, grateful for your participation. I'd like to welcome Jay Gourdin. They, them is a multi-hyphenate creative, originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Their writing is inspired by vignettes of Black home life and explores the power of belonging. Jay is a PhD student at the University of New Mexico. They are excited to bridge their poetic efforts with the field of sociology. Thank you, Jay.
Hello, hello. You give us a little bourbon next, I'll set up. Hello, Afromundo. As Melissa mentioned, I am Jay Gourdin. I'm a spoken word poet from Baltimore, Maryland. And today I am blessed on the bass by Dr. Ayala. We are so grateful to be here. Thank you to Afromundo for having us and the 516 Arts for hosting us. Without further ado, let's get to this poetry. Sitting room saviors. I've been sheltered by the jazz and joys of suburban retreat. Before the digital divide, I knew privilege several miles past the city line, but I can't run from Black. In Granny's untouchable sitting room, my hero's pictures are posted below a coiffed Christ. Malcolm, high yellow and slick, looks like an uncle of mine. Nose so wide he could smell dinner at breakfast or inhale a flashback of my backwoods walk round the corner store. No matter my behavior, his glare casts judgment bifocal thick. Above a pride-stained doily, I am drawn to King's mustache-guarded grin. Holy or not, they might have smoked with me. From that far wall, they stare beyond the window, where sirens and beat boys sing my name. I don't come home often. Been wounded and wounded by field hands. This strange fruit saw God's nakedness, laughed and left. Now I thumb past stillborn liberty and justice for all the Fergusons and Flints I forget to remember. Instead, I double tap political action packaged in hashtags. Read about abortion rights getting redacted from an infographic, even championed Chappelle to be choked on trans lives. Infinitely scrolling through Black squares like Black Death as a coveted come up. The real world ain't even much better. In Granny's ivory sitting room, throbbing emergency lights flood the figures, and I watch as even God bleeds blue. In his glow, I am as much America's as its proudest boys. Thank you so much. I have one more poem for you all. Urban Outfitters. Trust fund babies shop my culture like couture. I've been too broke to buy school clothes, so I rock my great-granddaddy's overalls that picked okra, built railroads. Hand-me-downs from old slaves to new. Hand over fist they'll pay, arm after leg to look like hard work legend John Henry. Hipster be the new blackface. But black is the new black because all our shit make a comeback. Tell me this. What's so urban about your outfit? How my skin feel printed on cotton? How my history looks stitched to your hymns? How my words sound so fetch and fit it over your whiteness? Take the sweetness from the berry, never the blackness. Try N from Negro, because you'll never be one. I from the injustices your color blindness won't let you see. G's like going, going, gone. Sold to the highest bidder. Take A from appropriate, and you still can't say nigga. Because persona non grata is profitable. These piranhas putting pariahs on display like it's in to be isolated. Merchandising a divide between ghetto and tolerated. Thank you so much. Can we get another round for Dr. Ayala on the stage?
Okay. Girlfriend just wants to say, damn. Thank you. Next, I am proud to introduce Moniz Aguilar. Oh, there you are. Moniz Aguilar was born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A University of New Mexico student, she plans to pursue a degree in the medical field. Moniz enjoys performing spoken word poetry and relaying the emotions of her written work. She hopes to compose a short collection of personal poems in the near future that center around the Black identity and Black women specifically. Please give a warm round of applause to Moniz Aguilar.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm very honored and grateful to be here. And once again, I will have Dr. Ayala accompany me on one of my pieces. So thank you again. Truth. Yesterday's, today's, tomorrow's truth. Textbooks, teachers, tools to teach us. Flipping through the pages, redacted names and faces. From the shapes of their eyes to the beige of their skin, who are these men and women? White folks that strip my history, claim culture from me. In the classroom, conversations confined to conservation, keep things quiet, quick with questions. Simply shut your mouth, lock and key, call it safe spaces. To a student, history can seem like a mystery. Using context clues, evidence eventually. This knowledge unknown nearly neglected me. The states are united, sure the unison succeeded. When will we wander within the past, walk past these walls which held us back, piece together scraps and ash, the stories of our last? Virginia tried to mend, the memories heard and spread, lost to the wind, I found flying above our heads. The truth told most often, yesterday's, today's, tomorrow's truth. Take it in with open arms, don't take it for granted. Yesterday's, today's, and tomorrow's truth. Going into my second piece. Grocery stores. Can I wear this hoodie? Should I put the hood up or put my head down? Do I take my hands out of my pockets? Should I smile as I pass him by? Do I ask a question to the late night worker or should I just keep to myself? Is that man following me around the store? Is he watching me as I pick up each item? Have I done something wrong? Must have damaged some property. My body must be a disruption. My anxiety is overflowing. It's in a cup too short and too small. I don't know where to put this anxiety. My lungs can't handle my breathing. Why am I lying on the ground? What is this aching feeling in my chest?
What is this throbbing pain in my head? What is this stinging sensation in my legs? Is it my heart beating? My brain thinking? Or is it my legs running? My body shutting down? Is it my breath leaving my lungs and my last words escaping from my red, bloody lips? Is this the end for me? 17 and picking up groceries? Is this the end for me? No first kiss, no graduation? Is this the end for me? Lying on the street outside the grocery store, middle of COVID-19, day after Black Tuesday, week of riots and protests, time of overwhelming fear and anxiety. I couldn't control my tears this day. I continue to choke on my own breath this day. Why am I being told to leave the store? Why am I being pushed out the door? Why am I lying on the ground? Envision my body, my brother, my cousin, at a young age wiped from this earth as if we were never here at all. I thought, why do I have to feel this way? I'm suffering silently inside my head, and I feel as if I'm by myself in a locked room, confined and told not to speak, not to think, not to move, not to act. I feel as if this is all meaningless. How am I supposed to go on living as if everything is fine and everything is normal? As if my life is regular and is just continuing at all times? My life right now feels like it's stopped. Like it's hit a brick wall at full speed ahead, like my future is no longer in sight, like my dreams are no longer a possibility, like my thoughts have been taken over and I can no longer process reality. I feel like I'm being chipped away at, like I don't know if I should reach the age of 18, if I should keep going and hope for the best, if I should just try and focus on the positive. I'm trying to convince myself to think about tomorrow and hope it'll be better than today, but I'm gasping for air and fighting with the tears rolling down my face. What should I do? I can't breathe.
Next up is Leandro Pita Benito, a double major in sociology and Chicano X studies, will pursue an MFA in dramatic writing. He is driven by theory and the possibilities this world has yet to show us. Leandro believes in the benefits of social balance. As an Afro-Caribbean and indigenous Latinx individual, he strives for social justice and decolonization on stolen lands.
Oh boy, can you hear me? All right. Hi guys, how are you? My name is Leandro Pita. I go to University of New Mexico, about to graduate soon. I've been very successful in the industry recently, traveling to Tennessee and doing projects like this and embracing what I do is something amazing. So my poem is called Negro Inca. I've been through a lot in my life, and I would like to express my story in a way where people would understand, historical materialism in a way where we see slavery and segregation, and try to see the intersectionality behind it and why these things happen,
When they tell us that racism is bullshit, cuando nos dicen que racismo es pura bamba, están de madre concha tu madre, desayunando huevonadas, ni siquiera pan con chicharrón, quejándose de las redes, quejándose de los vicios, quejándose de los negros. Yes, I as a nigger. Can you tell or can I tell? A fusion of Akan and Inca, I am Negro Inca. Dancing las danza de los diablos, the Spanish missionaries would call me Antichrist. So let us pray. Padre nuestro, que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre, venga tu reino. In 1532, Atahualpa rejected the Bible. Today, my blood is a mural of fallen kingdoms. A massacre of healers and spiritual leaders. Mama, I am magical. Dance with me before death, before I am burned. Before South America meets Africa, before we are slaves, enfadan a reconocer la mezcla. Perro criollo que ladra, toro mata ahí, toro mata. Las cadenas siguen tocando el cajón, mamá. Do you hear the Brazilians? Are my headphones too loud? This breakfast is not my vibe, so let me dance my demons away. Let me hear their voices, the beats enduring ethnocide. I am Negro Inca. My father is part of me, raised by a single mother from Peru. I grew up way too conscious. Number one, I am black. I am black. I am black. Number two, America was stolen. Number three, assimilation is bullshit. Mama, racism still exists. Dance with me before hate, before I am judged, before United States meets creature. Before we are erased, I am Negro Inca.
Gracias, Leandro. Now, it is my great pleasure. This really is a community activity, and the reason I say that is Eleuterio Santiago Díaz, when we mentioned that Brazil was going to be part of this year's festival, hooked me up with Brown University, who was gracious enough to meet several of the professors and graduate students, and I told them everything about what Afromundo was about, and they were kind enough to recommend the upcoming artists. And it's just, this is what it takes, community, to recommend people, connect us, and they arrived a couple of days ago, and I look forward to getting to know them. First up is going to be Paula Melissa Alves, aka Mel Adún. She goes by Mel. She is a writer, a journalist, and a master in literature and culture at the Federal University of Bahia. She is co-founder of Editora Ogun's publishing house in Brazil, and you'll hear a little more about the publishing house on the Thursday event. Mel Adún is the author of, sorry, my bastard got the Portuguese. Mel Adún is the author of A Lua Cheia de Vento. She also of Adumbi, also of Pese Fora de Bahia. Sorry, you can correct me when you get up. And Cuantas Tantas. Her poetry and prose can be found in several anthologies. She organized and edited the poetry anthology Quilombellas, oh I love that name, Quilombellas Americanas, Volume 1 and 2, with Black women from Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Mozambique, United States, and more. Mel Adún was chosen by the waters. She is a daughter of Oshun and the mother of Ominire. In her writings, Black American, I love that phrase, Black American feminist voices can be heard, always carried by the ancestors' power in her texts. Mel Adún is part of Ogun's Toques Negros Collective, Corpos Indoces en Mentes Libres, and working towards sentence reduction for incarcerated women at the Women's Correctional Facility in Salvador Bahia, Brazil. And she is coordinator at Quilomba, Black Brazilian Women Living Outside of Brazil Collective. Please welcome Mel Adún.
Thank you so much. Hello. I'm more of a writer and a reader, less of a performer. So be gentle, be nice. Thank you, Maritza. First of all, I would like to thank Afromundo very much, the community, because estar aquí es un cariño en mi alma. So thank you to Maritza. Gracias, Veronica. Obrigada, Victoria, and Adupe Adolphe. My name is Mel Adún. I am a daughter of Oshun and Shango, but also Ogun, Iemanjá, Oya, Omolu, Oxóssi, Nanã, Oxalá, meu babá. I was blessed to be a daughter of my mother, Mãinha Paula Santos. I was blessed to be the mother and Mãinha of Hominire, the best collab ever with Guellwaar Adún, my life partner and poet. So for me, Afromundo is this possibility of novos encontros, right? Where our art can flow and we can go ahead and take down the barrier. Like a language should not be a barrier for us. I'm Africana, I'm Africana, we are, and that's not something that I came up with. This is from Lélia Gonzalez, one of our most famous feminist scholars in Brazil. I also want to start today thanking our ancestors, our orixás, our inquisis, our voduns, our caboclos. This is indigenous land, so I'm here to thank them as well. And say that we are the great, 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 great grandkids of those who refuse to die. Their plan is still in progress, and in Brazil, every 23 minutes, a Black youth is killed by the police. So I would like to start with Strange Fruits, my poem, Frutas Estranhas. I was ousada, and I decided to put some parts in Spanish, because my mom does speak Spanish. So, be gentle. Frutas estranhas. É primavera e eu queria falar das flores, falar das cores e de como a arte é, sem melindres, copycat da vida. Queria falar dos cheiros, coloridos e melódicos, como o canto dos passarinhos. Ah, os passarinhos são tantos, tão diversos. Es primavera y me gustaría poder hablar de las flores. Quisiera hablar de las cosas que brotan de la tierra, escribir sobre ese aroma de vida que lo impregna casi todo. Eu queria, juro que queria. 23 minutos, vem a morrinha da morte matada. En vano, tiro el aire para recordar el olor de las flores. Morrimos outra vez. We're going to take a turn here. This poem is called Na Bahia. Bahia is my home state in Brazil and is the blackest state in the country. So Bahia is the place that made me believe in magic. I believe in magic because of Bahia. Okay? I am magic because of Bahia. And Bahia is Bahia because of me. So, en la Bahia. Hay un tiempo enterrado en la bahía de todos los inquises, bajo las aguas saladas, amalgamados entre peces y otros animales marinos. Un tiempo sin punteros, números, letras. Hay un tiempo enterrado en la bahía de todos los voduns. Calabaza, espacio, quirimure, del primogénito. Ali no transcurre. No tienes prisa. Anda en el compaso. Señalización sonora de los senderos transitados. Hay un tiempo que solo se ve en la bahía. Sin sombreros, jotas de corazones, felinos risueños, un tiempo que no se prende en el orí de la gente, en los bembés del cobertizo. Muchos dicen que lo han visto pasar, pocos lo han perdido alguna vez. Gringos desinformados, confundirlo con dinero. Hay un tiempo que solo se ve en la Bahía, en mi Bahía, con H. This is for my sisters. Pretas, negras, neguinhas. Somos negras de todos os tons. Podemos ser da cor da noite, retintas. Pero no creas que desapareceremos al amanecer. Podemos ser el amanecer. El oro no es exclusivo de las mujeres blancas. Somos negras de todos os tons. Temos os lábios carnudos, ou nem tanto. Temos olhos negros, como jabuticaba, ou nem tanto. Podemos ter olhos azuis, verdes, podemos ter miel. La doçura no es privilégio de las mujeres blancas. Não somos só erotismo, mas sabemos ser o delírio dos escolhidos. Os poucos, ou nem tanto, com quem escolhemos dividir a cama e ser feliz por uma vida inteira, independente do tempo que isso signifique. Nosso tempo é medido diferente. Somos negras de todos os tons, com cabelos de muitas espessuras, encaracolado, teso, em pé, do tipo arretado, que não se curva nem para a água, cabelo de fogo, sarará. Ser rubia ou pelirroja não é exclusivo de las mujeres blancas. Temos blacks, locks, tranças, fortes lembranças de vidas passadas. Nem adianta tentar nos dividir. Somos negras de todos os tons. E a sua conversa fiada, separar para triunfar, já funcionou uma vez. Não mais funcionará. Somos negras de todos os tons. As mais escuras ainda sofrem mais. As mais claras ainda sofrem. Não vamos entrar no jogo das desgraças. Somos negras de todos os tons. As recatadas, as exibidas, as fartas, as na medida, as de parar o trânsito, também as desenchabidas, as que trepam com a mão na cabeça, as que nem de longe tocam numa caceta e aquelas minhas irmãs loucas por buceta. Nenhuma para o seu pálido bico. Thank you. I would like to close, eu gostaria de fechar com essa oração, with this prayer for Iemanjá. A prayer that I did for Iemanjá, of course. Waters, a prayer at the end of the day. I would like Elle to come here because I need a little music. Just put the music there. Can we use this microphone? Yes. Esse daqui. A última vez eu sei. Waters, a prayer at the end of the day. And it's just because the water, in times of out of time, I come to you for patience, trying to learn the science of well-being again. The blue screen of our mechanical lives, the glitches are real. I beg you for an immediate relief. And it's just because the water always allow me to, in the battles I fight myself, I end it without the dramas and scars. That the guilt surrounding us from not being the perfect mama, the shoulds, the coulds, the supposed tos, your waves drag to the bottom of the ocean where few are able to reach. And it's just because the water always makes. I ask from one mother to another, in the traffic of feelings, I beg you, watch over our girls and boys. When necessary, blow your breeze to change any wrong ways, wrongdoings, especially for the ones alone on their own. And it's just because the water always make a way, upload and recycle the anguishes of the day. The pain, torment, bank lines, slow lanes, the healthiest choice for dinner. And it's just because the water always makes a way that I come. Always be present in our ori, in the opacity of our face. Always be the bluish, greenish, crystal clear, to color and revert the back and forth of the vase. And it's just because the water always make a way that I come to you. Come and carry me in your arms, holding on to your skirt of shining sails and stones in the everlasting search of the river for the sea. Oh, Doya. And it's just because the water always makes the way that I come to you, Yemanja, begging to return the sacred fish, daughter of mystery and gold. Caroline. Thank you. Guellwaar Adún. Thank you.
Thank you. On drums was Vivian. Please come see her at Thursday's event. She will be at Valle de Oro, and it's a community gathering that's going to be phenomenal. Please come join us in the communal dance of Samba de Roda, Samba de Cobocla, I always get it wrong. So please, that will be on Wednesday. And now, I'd like to welcome back Marcos Gonzalez da Silva, aka Guellwaar Adún. He has used music, writing, and socially engaged cultural work to contribute to the vitality of contemporary Afro-Brazilian culture in his home of Salvador, Bahia. Since the late 1980s, envision Guellwaar at the center of a multi-dimensional web of creativity and activity. Guellwaar is a co-founder, director, and editor of the first Black publishing house in northeastern Brazil, Ogum's Press, which began publishing in 2015 and grew out of the artistic and literary eponymous collective. His poetry and prose can be found in several anthologies. His poetry book, Decimas, placed him among the top contemporary poets. Guellwaar is an accomplished composer of contemporary Afro-Brazilian music. His competitions are performed by the Bloco Afro-African Brazilian Carnival group, Ile Aie, one of the most prestigious cultural organizations in Bahia. 3 times his compositions have earned him first place in the Black Music Composer Contest, sponsored by Ile Aie. Please welcome Guellwaar.
I'm sorry for that. I understood that we would sit there, so I put my back behind. Totally got but he is much better. If you don't understand my pronunciation, I don't blame you. That's the first time I'm introducing my poetry in English, even though it is translated 5 years ago, and I didn't feel comfortable at that time. That time I think I can do this because the book translated is about calm, but this one is in Portuguese. It's called Desinteiro, and I'm doing a kind of game with a Portuguese poet that was called Fernando Pessoa, and I'm trying, the kind of poetry that I try to do has nothing to do with the tradition, but of course I read the tradition, but I betray the tradition, and at the same time I try to betray the contemporary too, because the contemporary can enclose you too in a bubble, So I try to do all the time an experimentation. And this inteiro is just to disagree with one of the things that Fernando Pessoa used to say, that is, in order to be whole, be whole. And then saying, in order to be whole, be unwhole. We are not finished, and maybe we're gonna die unfinished. In that school, we keep going, right? So anyway, I'll read some poems in Portuguese because I feel more comfortable, and I have the translation in English. Only one that I will read in English, I'll try. But this one is for Exu. Usually I don't start anything without asking his permission. Anyway, try to do this with me. I'll give you the notes. Cancela, cancela, Joyce, nós, hoje o Crecrim e outros nós sóis. Até cancela, cancela, Joyce, nós, hoje o Crecrim e outros nós sóis. A cruz! Exu rendeu a encruzilhada, deu lanterna pra zumbi, desafogou calmas. Nadava no asfalto, voava pelos mares, caminhava nas estrelas. Vige! O ogó suspirava no céu da boca da noite. Eixo maior, eixo menor, eixo das madrugadas, em cruzas, montanhas, quebradas. Assumo de verdades conflitantes. Assumo, o falo falará antes da fala. Mexo, deixo, fecho, todo o tempo puro. A ponta dessa pena é um seixo lalo. Cunheira de Dorofi, falo de muitas línguas, línguas de muitos falos. Exu, Thank you. Thanks for Maritza for the invitation. Thanks for Victoria to receive us with these big hearts. And giving us all the clues about the city, this place we are right now, this sacred land. Thanks to Victoria, thanks to Adolf. Adolf? Thank you, brother. Thanks to all of you. You made me change my perception about New Mexico, because 5 years ago I had another experience here that was not so cool. I'll tell you Thursday. At the Holiday Inn, this stuff happened. So I'll explain to you better another moment. Today we need to have fun, but this poem right now is not so fun. It's talking, this won't be the next one, I changed everything. Those guys made me change. This one. Thank you. This one was published here. Let's see. Sister Billy, over there beyond the south of North America, a known fruit, the same fruit, nothing strange, predictable, falling every 23 minutes. And the gravity is totally tried every 23. A fruit, the usual, the same fruit, with no spring and without summer, lying on the ground, extinct, barely out of the seed, dumped on the road or in the chains beyond the south, an interdicted fruit, the abyss, a precipitated fruit, distressed, was on the verge. Beyond the south of the south, napalm in the palm of a hand, napalm in the palm of a hand, napalm in the palm of a hand of Palmares, from Montgomery to Cabula, Palmarinas sow dreams in the belly button of the indifference. Since it is a native land, Native American land at first, I need to pay some homage for them in our tradition. With a song which is written in Portuguese, we sing in Portuguese, but it is a song with more than 200 years. Pega a cabaça, you know calabaça? Separa a semente, separate the seeds. Ori é quem faz a cabeça da gente. Ori é Ori que hace nuestras cabezas. Pega a cabaça, separa a semente. Caboclo é quem faz esse Ori da gente. Eu atirei, eu atirei, eu atirei, ninguém viu. Senhor Oxóssi é quem sabe aonde a flecha caiu. Eu atirei, pedrinha miudinha de Aruandaí, lajeiro tão grande de Aruandaí. Cheto, Maua, cheto! Não, please, I think we can go to this. I was invited to make a poem when Brazil, the Americas, were celebrating 500 years of discovery. And retired guy, I used to be a street poet, and at the end of the 80s, you know. So this guy, I think he just knew myself as a poet, but he didn't know my thoughts. And he told me to make a poem for our colonizer. I didn't feel offended. That's what I do. I can make it. It is to, to say this poem in front of everybody. Otherwise I get tired. And who can be retired in Brazil to celebrate? So I said, yeah, I can do this. I knew a poem from a guy that is my guy. This one I don't betray. It's Muta Baruca from Jamaica. He does a kind of poetry that I want to poetry that I want to do one day. I want to make one day. It's poetry, poetry, words, and sounds at the same time. Like a poor Cooper used to do to does too. So I made this for our colonizer. His poem is for Columbus, Christopher Columbus. He says something like, I am Christopher. Thank you. Thank you so much. He says something in his poem, Columbus Ghost. He says something like, I am Christopher Columbus, but I died. But you make me live all the time and celebrate my common. So he kept going. So I'm attached to this kind of poetry that likes to destroy monuments. And I think any of us, from our specific country should praise the colonizer like Mutabaruka did. I did this to Tomé Souza. When I reached the place to say the poem, everybody was hugging me, blah, blah. But after I said this poem, nobody wanted to talk to me anymore. I never understood why. So I would scroll down and, oh,
Eu sou Tomé de Souza. Sou tão parasíticos. Eu sou tuga dos sismos e ritmos, definidor da alma, memória, entronador da história difamatória nesta terra de Veracruz, a luz, futuramente conhecida por Brasil. Eu vim e venci gentis e fiz o meu país. Eu sou Tomé. O pontapé da Santa Fé fez o cajé virar uma ré. Índia em todos os índios de braços fortes, erguente São Salvador, reino das mortes, que desfrutaram nada tem, mostraram genuínas para o vosso bem. Senhores gentis, não vos assusteis, por favor, não vos espanteis. Como pode ser que eu não atrasar a vossa cultura, flor pura, se não entendeis que este pendurado à cruz é o nosso Deus, ou melhor, o único Filho dos céus. Jesus? O quê? Que o crucificou, ora, nós mesmos os pôs. Não vos preocupeis. O que teremos para ensinar-lhes que os vossos deuses e vossas deusas não são nada. Vossos costumes são ridículos, vossa estirpe mamanada. Eu sou o seu tom. Não sabemos plantar, trepar, pensar, amar. Não sabemos dançar, não sabemos filosofar, festejar, celebrar, caçar, viver, sorrir, sonhar. Mas milhões de africanos sequestrados para cá. Sem eles nada somos, nada seremos, nada podemos. Eu sou Tomé Souza, o destruidor de lares, o estuprador de mares. Eu sou Tom, primeiro intendente da miséria dos índios e dos negros. A esses últimos dizíamos que não tinham alma, com a doutrina da calma, palmatórias, degredos, festeiros, algumas chicotadas, muitas chibatadas, nos lombos, nas faces, nas bundas, nas caras, teorias, focas, estupros, as taras. Eu sou Souza. Eu temperei a qualidade das verdades para ficarmos nossa loucura através das idades. Nesta terra que batizamos de Brasil, e brasileiro, como sabeis, os madeireiros, pioneiros que me enterram ali. Eu sou Souza, nunca amei nem beijei minha mulher. Música triste cortejando as marés. O afeto é o jazigo das guerras. Sou o fuzil luxo e o desabrigo destas terras. 1548 signos altos tabuaram ainda no dia. 1548 dias alvejaram desde a base até a África.
The last one is for Oya. I think some of you know her. I am a son of Oxóssi, Oxum, and Ogum, but I love Oya. It's Oya. So for me, she is in charge because she is my daughter's Orisha. So I am nothing anymore. I can sing this one. Thank you. O vento acabou de soprar. Não foi zumbido. Zumbi escutou junto comigo. O vento acabou de soprar. Não foi zumbido. Zumbi estou junto comigo. Não foi suave, era caminho acalanto. Quebraram-se pratos, romperam-se flores. As flores se espalharam em 9 mundos. Novembro abriu seus braços, seus abrigos. Ancestres despertaram seus antigos. O vento acabou de soprar. Na gruta dos sonhos, São Benedito apareceu, acompanhado de um anjo, acompanhado de um anjo. Lado da Omé, que abençoou o tambor de crioula. Encantou a zabumba, encantou a zabumba e o boi de pindaré, pindaré. E na casa das minas ele fez o coro do jeje falar. Nessa porta também tem leaie pra fazer você cantar. Nessa porta também tem leaie pra fazer você cantar. Mas quando o tambor tocou, a festa ficou melhor. Quem baixou, sambou no catimbó. Mas quando o tambor tocou, a festa ficou melhor. Quem baixou, sambou no catimbó. Quem sambou no catimbó. Quem sambou no catimbó. Nessa rota reza reta e o rito, viva a festa do divino. Ufam amores no berço do Ribeirão. Na linha da mata de Codó, a cachoeira de lá, a pagelança desperta timiras, tapuias, caboclos ao som do tambor. Água que corre, brigando é maranhão. E a rainha continha em proteção. Ribeirão os mistérios e lê do mar. E tem Catarina amiga com Dona Teté no seu cacuriá. Mas quando o tambor tocou, a festa ficou melhor. Quem te baixou, sambou no catimbó. Mas quando o tambor tocou, a festa ficou melhor. Quem te baixou, sambou no catimbó. Quem sambou no catimbó. Quem sambou no catimbó. Sambou no catimbó, sambou no catimbó, sambou no catimbó. Vere que te sambou no catimbó, vere que te sambou no catimbó. Oh, vere que te sambou no catimbó, na gruta dos sonhos. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This song was composed by me and by my partner, Mel Guellwaar. Okay, we had a bad guy in power in Brazil, and thankfully he's not there anymore. I even don't like to pronounce his name, but in the first name, when they gave, the first day they announced he was the winner, my partner was in a pub drinking, and of course it was the day of the result, the night of the result. And they were discussing why, people elected this kind of scumbag. And some people, a guy was there, younger than him, and if you research his name, you're gonna see what happened. And that's it, okay? Love you all.
Hi, I'd like to invite Mel Guellwaar Eleuterio. I'd like to invite you back up because I'd like to give the audience a chance to ask questions, and feel free because you need some time to see. Yeah, if you can sit here so that those who have questions can have a chance to interact and ask or comment.
I will sit like this because I'm sliding. Okay.
And you can start with it, or whoever wants, or I'll take on some ones.
Yeah, go for it. So please use the microphone so the people online can hear you. But. So, okay, thank you. Are we going to start with some questions? Do we have any comments that we like? The best thing is if you guys have something and we can make this a conversation. Go ahead, please.
I have a question for the entire panel. I'm sensing a thread of rootlessness throughout the pieces and kind of finding yourself needing to reground who you are in whatever context. And so my question, although it sounds like it's about identity, it's not really about identity, but it's about kind of finding roots that speaks more to a subjectivity, a quiddity, kind of your context as a whole. Those spiritual things that make you you. So however you define the roots that you are seeking, can you talk to us a little bit about that and how it plays a role in your work? Because I'm really curious about your
Who wants to start?
How about you? You have a mic.
Why not? Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. So I think what you said is what is the context that our work is based on?
Yeah, like what is your context?
Okay, so I think if you heard some of my poems, you see that I'm really, I'm Bahia, so I don't like to say I'm part of Bahia. I'm not part of Bahia, I am Bahia. You know, Bahia, it's me. So there's no way that I can make a dialogue with the world without bringing me into the conversation, even though it's not about me, but I need to be, you know, through those lines the whole time. So I do not try to do anything. Some people already ask, do you do, what is it called? Like activist poetry, right? I don't do activist poetry, but my activism will show, of course, in my poetry, but that's not what limits my poetry. Like, I'm not gonna do feminist poetry, but I am a feminist, I am a black woman, so that all will be seen through my work, but that does not define my work. My work can go either way, the way I'm feeling. Like, I'm feeling a certain way here, and this is gonna show in my next work, because this is what you guys brought to this exchange, and it's always an exchange, right? It's never just me, it's always a flow of us. So I don't know if I made myself clear, but that's what I think for me. Thank you.
For me, I, just thought about life. I basically, it was important for me to sort of put Spanish, Peruvianism especially, because me being, indigenous Latinx and also Afro-Caribbean, blackness, and, I thought about, the royalty behind, my ancestors. I always think about, me being born in the United States and me, knowing Spanish out of the bat, but then people question it all the time. So then, it's all about like, oh yeah, I learned English in school, and then I learned Spanish in the household, and sort of realizing these reflections that I have, that sort of individual reflections that I have, helps me construct the poetry, because my poetry was basically contra storytelling. It was basically a contra storytelling style, because when we say something, when we, when I'm in front of an audience, or this is something being spoken, there's sort of political action. There's different ways. Again, poetry to me is research. Poetry to me is theory. Poetry to me is expressing yourself
diaspora and knowing that this is such a beautiful shared experience. I'm so proud to be here.
I don't know if it is possible to answer your question, because as I said, I like to betray the tradition and the contemporary too. Of course, you could see in my poetry I have a lot of political statement, also, spiritual statement. But I really fight with myself to not put myself in this box. I told you about Mutabaruka, but I also have another guy that is my guy, Langston Hughes. And when he published The Wedding Blues, I think 1925, he sold a lot. Harlem Renaissance, he was speaking the truth, he was going straight to the money, confronting. When he wrote another book, The Fine Clothes to the Jew, I think 3 years after this one, he didn't sell anything and he got a lot of backlash. Because at that moment, he was not trying to repeat his work, He was putting his finger on ourselves, pointing his finger to ourselves. And that sometimes my poetry does that, saying, yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about the colonizer. I buy that and I'm with that. But we too, including me, I have a lot of issues to work on, and as a collective, we need to do too. So let's speak the truth, not pointing fingers to anybody, but pointing fingers to some situations. So sometimes I do black poetry, basically. But when you say black poetry in Brazil, it seems to be only, you need to only to raise, your fist and say Black Lives Matter. But sometimes it's to say, man, what's going on inside of the community? And when you do this, you're not doing black poetry anymore. And so I don't like cliche. I try all the time to work with melody. That's my thing. Like you say, my fun. I like to work with forms, image, rhythm. I try to do this, and I think that is it. My context in terms of poetry, first of all, is not to give my personal not to bring my personal experience to my job. Because I don't brag myself. This stuff Maritza read about me, people wrote about me. I didn't write this. So I have only one thing that I brag about myself. I know words matter. What you say, what you bring to the words can influence people's life. And you cannot control that. So I don't want to bring my sadness to the table. I prefer to bring our collective sadness to the table because my personal issues can trigger a lot of his stuff. So that's my thing with the poetry. Thanks for the question.
She hasn't read my poetry or heard my poetry yet, so after she read my poetry, then we will have this conversation.
Your poetry.
You could read
Just
now.
have the new stuff.
You could read now. I don't have poetry with me.
She said she read it.
No, I think that in my case, the first part of my life, let's say the first 40, 47 years of my life, were very physical. And I was also immersed in the tradition. What I'm trying to say is that to me it's a matter of living, the aspects that nourish my identity are so different, so many and so complex. To me it's a matter of living life a full life, and then at the moment of writing, things are going to surface. I have now something that I didn't have in the past. It's the conviction that I'm going to be able to write write my poetry. That I might be struggling at some point, but I'm still happy because I have the conviction that things are going to come out. Being political, being communal, many things from the past are coming back into my poetry because it's like playing soccer or dancing. You practice in life, you live your life fully, and at the moment of playing, you play the game. You don't reflect on. I like things to come out somehow automatically without expecting them. So, but read my points and then we'll talk.